Shut the F up. Are you constantly trying to shut out the noise of your mind and the world? As a medium and healer, it is very important to learn how to slow down the negative train of thoughts in my mind. Is that something you struggle with, Jen? As a self-love expert, how do you deal with that?
It's a big one, honestly. It really is. I would say the first thing that I did to learn to deal with that was learn to listen for it.
What does that mean?
That means that I started shifting my awareness towards the different things that I would hear inside my head, right? And listening to the one constant voice that kept on repeating. At least it seemed like it was. Like there was, right? There's the one, we have different messages at different times, but there's one that's a little bit more brutal than others, as I should say. And so I just started really listening to being like present to like what is being said, how is it being said, why is it being said, not trying to necessarily change anything right away, but more so just having some awareness on like, whoa, wait a minute, what am I saying? Wait, what's being said to myself?
So, can you give an example of an intrusive thought that has come through your mind that you may have thought you worked through it and then later it came back?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that the intrusive, for me personally, I think that the intrusive thoughts that I've had may still come, yet they're not as loud. I think that's really, for me, it's about volume. It's about like the loudness inside of my head of this particular voice, and also how long that voice stays there. Meaning that it might still be on repetition of like, well, that was really stupid, right? Or whatever that looks like. But yet sometimes you'll stay in that place of like, wow, that was really stupid for like quite a long period of time versus like, wow, that was kind of stupid. And then being like, okay, that was unnecessary. Like that, whatever that may be, to like move that direction along. So I think that it's about the loudness and about how long it stays for me.
Okay. I will say that I have been struggling with the noise of the world recently. And there's a lot of negativity constantly, constantly. It's never ending, no matter how much you try to avoid it. It's always somewhere. And what do you recommend to someone or other people? Hello, Carol. Hello, Vivian. Hello, Holly, and everybody else watching. When you pop in, say hello, give us a comment, click like if you can. It is free to do. It only takes a second. So if you can click like, please do. It helps us, and make a comment. What would you say to someone who's struggling with the noise of the world and being emotionally triggered by the news and the things happening in the news that cause old wounds to come up? Because that is something I am greatly, greatly, incredibly struggling with. And I absolutely can guarantee you many other people are struggling with it the same. Hello, Gina, Denise, and Kim, all smiles. Welcome in. Hello.
Well, I mean, that's a big question.
And that's why I'm asking the self-love expert.
Well, I mean, I've just been doing it. I think that, in my first thought, like usually I just really kind of go in a way of like, it's not a right way or a wrong way. It just happens to be the way that I've done it. Right.
Mhm.
So it's like finding what works for you. So sometimes maybe what someone might recommend will just influence you to find your real gem of whatever that looks like, because you're like, that person, whatever they said is completely opposite of what I would think. So if there's a lot of noise that's going on in the world, I would, when that would happen, which it does happen for myself, I find some time to realize that there's a lot of noise inside myself. And generally speaking, at that time, that means that maybe the noise, depending on what's happening or what's going on, the noise is affecting me due to the fact that I am not connected with myself. meaning that like if something's going on that is having an impact on me that happened in my life, it's also just kind of reflecting and showing where I still have some work to do for me personally, of like the loudness. I mean, that's the best thing that I can honestly really emphasize, just for the fact of like, that's where I'm at right now on my path, is the loudness isn't as loud. Like it's
Mhm.
just not as loud. So if the volume of whatever is happening, whether it be in the world, whether it be in yourself, is very loud, then that's when we get to stop and sit with ourselves for a minute and compassionately inquire about what might be going on. Where are these, and like just you're just being with it. You can't necessarily, I mean, maybe you can. For me, like anybody that kind of knows me will say, like, I mean, I can be very stubborn. So like no one's going to tell me what to do, and that includes myself. Like it might just be like, oh, well, you just let yourself tell you what to do. Well, yeah, that, and sometimes I don't even let that happen. So it's learning how to like listen compassionately and letting the voices kind of calm down a little bit, giving them the opportunity to be heard so that the volume can kind of be turned down. Does that make sense to some
That
degree?
makes sense. I would add to my question, mine isn't about the volume. It's about the incessant stream. The volume's not loud. It's about almost a constant stream of thoughts about certain things that I think I've told you before, I need to take a month off of work to even deal with it. And right now I am in the middle of some big projects and I literally cannot do that. Um, we all have to work. And so how would you recommend someone who's maybe not necessarily having the loud voices,
Mm.
but just a stream of uh memories, triggers, things like that? What can I do and others do on a daily basis to set that aside for later? We'll say
Well, I mean, good luck trying to set it aside. I mean,
for
it's easy,
later. I said
right?
for
I
later.
know, but that's easier said than done, right? That's all I mean by that. It's like, it's easier said than done. I think you just like find that, I mean, again, just a piece that I know within myself, right? And it's not like we have different parts of ourself, right? So there's parts when we're not feeling as well, and there's parts when we are feeling well, and there's parts that are like a little quieter, and there's parts that are a little louder, right? So it's like you want to see if you can kind of tap in, just as an idea, see if you can tap into the voice that's compassionate.
Mm,
Allow yourself to be heard by yourself for a moment, and then be like, okay, thanks for sharing, we'll be back. Like, whether it be, and then finding something like that just sounds really like simple, like, oh, thanks for sharing. Like you have to find what kind of works for you. But like sometimes when something is really trying to come through and we're doing whatever we can to avoid it, like it's going to keep coming. So it's like
right, of
kind of like,
course.
right, so it's like maybe like compassionately, so let's just say, I'll use myself, right? So let's just say I have a version of me that's an angry daughter that's been hurt by her father, right? And so now I'm having, for some reason, something's coming up right now, and it's on repeat, and it's very loud, or it's not loud. It just keeps showing up over and over again, just keeps popping back in. What I would do is, there is a compassionate side of myself that has compassion for this part of myself that's been so wounded. And so I would try to raise the volume on that voice per se,
Mm,
to just be like, okay, I'm sorry you're feeling this way. Like whatever that may be. Like, there's not some script. Like, but just even attempting to kind of get in there, because the more we try to, right, avoid, the more we can't. And it's also interesting too, because you're like, yeah, I don't have any time for this. And it's like, isn't it interesting how that always happens? Being like, listen, this is not the time to be
right.
having stuff come up. And yet that is the time. And so then what do we do with it? And it's like, just finding, like, I think the real thing that I'm trying to get to is that, like, that voice that is whatever we're talking about that you're connecting with right now, trying to find another more compassionate, friendly, calming voice within yourself, to see if that can come in and help ease the situation.
Mm. Like loving the little girl inside the way
Yes.
she needed to be.
Yes.
Oh,
And
that's
a
a
lot of
great
people will be
point.
like, how do you do that? Right. I remember one client I had was like, I can't even, like, I don't even see her. I don't find her. I don't know who you're talking about. And I'm like, that's okay. Just waiting and seeing until that happens. And there was years that it was like I could just recognize her and she was literally just in the corner. It was like, okay, she'll come around, right? And
Mhm.
now the relationship that I have with her is completely different, right? And so it's like, and then sometimes that voice becomes the louder voice. And it's like, but how do you do it? It's through time.
Right.
It's through experience. It's through like trying it out to see if that works for you.
I will say that I can give a couple of pieces of advice because I teach this in my mediumship development. There's a part of one of my courses, I think the intermediate course, where you have to learn to love and heal the little person inside, the little kid of you that didn't get the things, because it's essential to heal. If you're working in any type of mediumship, Reiki, psychic, self love, coaching, whatever it is, you have to heal yourself to a certain degree. And so, one of the things I learned from my mentor, and that I also teach my students, is imagine yourself as the little kid, the little person. Bring that person to your mind's eye, and if they need their hair combed, comb their hair. If they need their teeth brushed, brush their teeth. If they need a bath, give them a bath. Put clean clothes on them. Give them a warm meal. Hug them. Tell them the things
Mhm.
you wish you heard.
Yes.
Imagine it in your mind's eye, sending energy to that little you.
Mhm.
And if you have to do it 100 times a day, that's fine. That little you needs healing. Everybody's little them needs healing.
Mhm.
And so one of the quotes I saw somewhere along the way when I was teaching was when I was teaching in school, was be the person you needed.
Mhm.
My high school saved me. I can't even talk enough about how wonderful they were. But I posted that in my classroom for years because there are so many people hurting
Mhm.
all the time. And now it's even ramped up even more because everybody's triggers are going off like crazy. We have to find that compassionate voice and love for the little us. And so that's one of the things I go through. I want to say hello to Donna. Thank you for the pictures you sent me. I'm glad you're here. They were awesome. Dina says she puts on music and sings. I am a big music person. Music has saved my life. Aunt Jen knows how much I love music and drove her crazy with all my music back in the day. Viv said, I stopped myself from labeling all the craziness in the world as negative. It's just what humanity needs to go through as part of our advancement process. It stops my brain from going back to the noise. Great points. Little Viv is spending tons of time with her stuffed animals because of your advice. Good. The stuffed animals are your happy place. So, everybody put in the chat any questions about or comments or advice about shutting out the noise in your mind, because it is a lot of people are struggling in so many ways right now. And we need as much clarity in how we can proceed through all of this stuff in the world in our own personal lives. Not only is the world like exploding constantly, everybody has their own life that has stuff going on in it. It's not just about what's happening out there. We all have stuff. If you know another person, you got problems, right? If there's one person in your life, or 10 or 20 or 1,000, you got something going on. Somebody somewhere is irritating you or aggravating you or meddling with you or just making you upset. So we've got to continue building communities of support and love to help each other. So, Jen,
Can I
what
just say something about you? What you said
yeah.
some great stuff. Like that's such like the loving the inner, all that part of it is all such a huge piece. That's just powerful. Reminding myself also, like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm here for you. Like, we're gonna be able to get through this. We're gonna find our way. And so I think the other thing too is there's also, there's music. I mean, I can, outside of myself, I can name many, many tools. I was just talking about the inside of ourselves and how to deal with that. And like one of the things that you also said, like, is, how to shut it up, right? And it's like, there is a point to that, but also, at least the way that I've kind of embraced it, like, don't ever tell me to shut up. Like, so it's like, so then try and tell myself to shut up is not going to work either. So what I've learned is to actually listen to it so that I can give it some space. And then I've been able to find ways to be able to get it to not be as present, not be as loud, not be as like, but trying to get it to stop it completely for me personally, like that's like telling myself to shut up. And it's like, ooh, that's not going to work very well. Like I got things I got to say. Like there's parts of me that are like, we're going to say something, whether we're going to say something. So it's like trying to find, it's like befriending. Like, that's another, like befriending that piece of us, like having an observance, like that is just like the first step. Like there's many steps, but like, I think the first step is like observing that there's something that's going on within ourselves, right? And like being able to witness that and having some compassion too. But what was your question?
I don't remember what
Oh,
I was going to
sorry,
say.
I do. I know.
No,
Throw you
no,
off. Like,
no, that's fine. We go in different tangents, and that's what's meant to happen.
exactly.
Observing what's going on is really important, because you have to observe the observer. So you have to learn, and that is really hard to do.
Very, very.
And what I mean by that, and I learned this from Eckhart Tolle in New Earth, is you observe yourself observing what's happening. So you have to observe. So I'm Nicole. So Nicole's higher self or awareness observes the human Nicole and what she's doing and observing. And is she judging someone because, they're wearing a colorful dress, or is she observing someone and judging someone because they're wearing roller skates at the grocery store? Whatever it is, you have to observe what you're observing and say, okay, become aware of, where can I make a change? What can I do to not, what can I do to grow emotionally, become more emotionally intelligent, become more compassionate to myself, first to yourself, because if you judge yourself for judging others, then you're in a whole spiral. So you have to be compassionate and be aware. Okay, I judge the person for wearing roller skates in the grocery store. I'm not going to be mad at myself. I'm just going to take a note and say, okay, next time, let that thought just go. You don't have to judge them because you think it's weird that they're wearing roller skates in the grocery store. Maybe that's what they enjoy. Let them be who they are. I want to say hi to Irene. I'm glad you're here, Irene. Thank you for the compliment. Patricia said, I try to validate the thought and let it go. Problem is, another thought usually takes its place. And Aunt Jen, as a meditation expert, can talk to that in a moment. Hi, girl who loves penguins, who I met last night. I'm so glad you are here. And Vivian said, this too shall pass, and switch my thoughts to what I want the future to be. I know the universe is listening. Can't change what has happened, but we can shape our future. That is excellent, excellent. So Patricia said, the problem is another thought usually takes its place. So how do you teach someone to navigate through that?
That's great. Now you've moved on to a new thought. It's like it really is. Like, it sounds like it's a smart ass comment, but I probably would say the biggest reflection for myself on my growth is my self-talk. based on
Mhm.
how I talk to myself,
Mm.
based on the voices that I hear, based on my responses. And voices, I don't mean like voices like that. I'm just saying like, what is the response? Like based on the quickness of, being in something, like the observation, like to me personally. And again, like we say, everyone gets to have their own thing. For me personally, this has probably been my number one tool for self-reflection, is the way that I talk to myself, and the progression of what I've witnessed within myself of what that talk looks like.
So, can you explain, kind of break those parts down a little bit?
Sure. I mean, like, a lot of times the both the negative and the positive self-talk, especially in the beginning, is something that is programmed into us.
Mhm.
And then we take over.
Mm.
So
First of all, let's give 25 gold stars to that little nugget. Can
yeah.
you repeat that for those who are just kind of
Yeah,
passively listening?
the based on whether people tell us stuff that's positive or negative, when we're younger and different things that are going on, then after a certain period of time, we end up taking over, and we end up creating generally the voices that have been implemented and we've heard, that have been imprinted within us, that are on repeat. And then we find, then I think to even take it a little bit further from just different things, at least myself, because that was the repetition or the voice as it kept going within myself, I would look for evidence to validate that.
Mm.
Whether there was positive evidence out there or not, it didn't matter. I was looking for the negative evidence to be able to confirm what I was being taught and what I took over.
So, can I try to explain what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the chat, put, were you told positive or negative things growing up? So, what I think you're saying is, if your parents or whoever raised you or whoever you were around growing up, friends, family, whoever, were telling you that you did such a good job, you're doing wonderful, I'm so proud of you, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, you're so kind, you're so compassionate, you're going to believe that, and that's going to be your self-talk.
I mean, it's going to be a strong, yeah. I mean, if that's,
On the contrary,
mm,
if you were told, and I can tell you, I have had clients who tell me that their parents told them the most horrific things that make me very sad. Um, you're stupid, you're not good enough, you can't do. I have somebody I love very much who was called the R word repeatedly growing up because she had some learning challenges, and people who are told they're useless, they're dumb, they can't accomplish anything. Who do you think you are to be able to do that? Who do you think you are? And so those things get repeated to yourself. And like you said, you were trying to prove those things to yourself that you were told.
mm,
So you've got people who were told positive things, so they believe in those positive things, so they're going to come out and be more positive. And then people who were told negative, horrible things that they keep continuing to tell themselves. Is that correct?
yeah.
Okay. Okay,
And
perfect.
it's neither here nor there. It's like just depending on what you grab onto, right? So then you grab onto that, and then you become the biggest bully of
Mm,
your own self,
mm,
right?
mm.
And then you take over to be doing that. And so then when you just stop, when you just are like kind of zoning out for a minute, becoming more aware of it, right? And being like, oh, okay, what is she talking about? Let me pay attention. Like, and literally the only voice you're hearing is a fucking shit talker. Oops.
Right.
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 Is literally like, right. Is literally that. And then you're just like, and then it just goes down a spiral of a negative cycle that's happening on a regular basis, And then, being like you're saying, like, I used to just kind of just stop and listen for a minute, not try and change. I didn't go in there and try and change the conversation, because that wasn't gonna, again, you have to know yourself. You have to also know yourself to be able to understand how it's happening. Like, I know myself. So like, no one can come talk to me about anything. So that kind of included when you're in that, when you're
Mm,
really up against it, like, that's the real truth. Like, I wasn't even going to be able to get there. Right. So it's like,
mm,
okay, so then you're trying to like find this compassion, which takes a little, I mean, this is all taking time and progress, right?
right.
It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I've been trying to retrain this for decades, right? Of like slow and steady. And I think that's also just to iterate and, put something in there. Like, people want something so fast, and it's like, good luck with this one. Like, it takes a long time.
Hmm.
So then you're having these, negative thoughts on noticing if like everything that happens, you're just always having a response that's kind of a negative response, and being able to be in that kind of a situation. And then what happens? Where do you go? How do you spiral? How does that happen? Right. And so I think that, I got off on some other subject. I know I did. And so now I'm forgetting, but I'm also kind of remembering. So it's like, then how do you change that? And so it was like compassionately, like just listening, and then being able to be like, well, I'm here for you. I'm listening. Like, that's not true. Like, being able to have other evidence, right? Being able to like find that out. And then it's like, it's a muscle. So you're like kind of building that muscle, like you built the one that was the shit talker, the one that was beating you up. And usually it's one of our, for me, it was my teenage voice. It was the one, that's the first time I get to have my own voice at that time. Right. And so it's like, that's the girl that kind of takes over, and she's just like, oh, no.
She's got a personality.
Yeah,
Uh,
personality for everybody. And it's not saying that that isn't something that is a part of who I am, but yet, wait a minute, let me just kind of get in there a little. When you're getting in there a little bit more and finding out, then that's when things kind of shift, of being like, okay, what do you need? Okay, what's happening? What's really going on? Oh, okay, well, you're just scared because you don't know what's happening. Okay, I get that. Well, we're going to figure it, right? It's like finding the ways, like you said, it's very true. Like, being there for yourself in the way that you always wanted someone to be there. It's the same thing that I say about a partner, loving yourself the way you want someone else to love you. Like,
right.
taking
Right.
care of yourself the way you want someone to take care of, if they're going to add on to that. Not that you're just waiting for someone to come along, and do it all.
Right.
That's not what it's about. It's really
Right.
about you setting the tone.
Exactly. And I want to say, lots of comments coming in. I'm going to get to those, but most people are saying negative from their parents, like consistently. And that's very sad. I know another person who was passive aggressively and narcissistically trained as a child to become a certain profession, right? The family was banking on this person to become this certain thing when they grew up, and telling this person they were dumb passive aggressively, because it's not always direct. It's not, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're bad. No, there are other ways people tell you things without saying it directly. And so this person was very much manipulated in their life and told everything negative passive aggressively. Read between the lines, you're a loser if you don't do this thing. And so this person grew up to become an alcoholic and has the worst negative self-talk of anyone I've ever known, and beats themselves up constantly. But they are on a healing journey right now, and they are trying so hard to change that train of negative thoughts and tell it to shut the F up. Right. And so it's very important that, and if Aunt Jen and I can save anybody from an extra 5 minutes, 2 weeks, year, 5 years of pain and suffering, if we can only get one person to understand that you can change this now and not wait another 5 or 10 years, that is makes me so happy, right? Because the point of building this community here is to help people heal and understand, especially in the spiritual realm, in the mediumship, Reiki, self-love, all of those modalities, it's important to know that we have to heal ourselves first. Nobody can heal you. Nobody's coming to save you. It's all up to you, and so.
And I would, that it's so well put, and so many different side notes and ways we could go. And the one thing that I would definitely add to, because just for my own personal self, is there is a part that is like, shut the F up. Right. But there's another part to me personally that's like, that's the problem, because everyone's been saying, shut the F up. Like, that part needs to be heard, felt, and seen. And once it's heard, felt, and seen, then maybe it'll have somewhere to go. Like, just trying to like be like, oh, I just don't want to think that way anymore. Like, I mean, if you could do that, like, okay,
like that lady on Instagram that said, I got healed and it wasn't that hard. I just did it.
Yeah, I mean, I know, and again, I'm not saying, like, I love to learn. Like, the only way that I've been able to heal and continue to heal this piece is actually to be present with that part of myself, to actually give that space to be heard, felt, and seen by myself, to be validated by myself of like, all right, I get it. We've really been bullied by whoever we got bullied by, and then you took over, and now we're going to change that. So like, just by shifting and changing some of the ways that I respond to myself now. And so I just had to say that piece too, because there's that as well. It's like, at least that's my journey, is like, I couldn't just tell myself to shut up. Like, I've had to love myself through it. That's kind of my response of like how to do something, is like finding a way to love myself through it, because in the end, that's who I have, is me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's like exactly
right?
what
I'm in here. Not saying that that's all I have, and I don't have friends and you don't have family, but your friends and your family do not live in your head.
Right.
Like, that is occupied by you. And that is the one that I am dedicated to, because that's the one that was just, I mean, all you'd ever hear was terrible. And it's not saying that I don't still hear negativity and hate, whatever, but I'm like, there is no way it's nearly as loud, and it's not as often as the other voice, or it doesn't stay as long. That might be my usual response, and then automatically the other one's like, girl, we kicked you out. No, it's this way. It's like, oh yeah, okay, right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been through being there for myself, compassionately loving myself through it, not trying to wrong myself for where I've been at, what's been going on, or try to just be like, okay, well, just stop thinking that way. Just move on. And just like, I mean, I wish.
Right. Wouldn't it be easy? And Patricia said definitely negative, almost always. Gina said negative. Praise is foreign to me. Lily, hello, Lily, welcome in, said negative programming. Vivian said, I was constantly told I can't do this, I can't do that. It's not going to work, or you are dreaming. The rebel in me proved them wrong over and over again. And boy, did they. A girl who loves penguins said, I got negative. The one that really sticks is my dad always told me, if you eat that, you will get fat.
Yeah, that's it.
I still struggle with my self-image, with my weight still today, and I'm 55. Yeah, same here. My dad used to weigh us and write the weight on the calendar. I'm the only one in the family that remembers that, by the way. That's another whole avenue. That's another
I'm like, I'm not opening up that can. I'm like, yeah, that's
another whole avenue.
But yes.
Lily said, positive self-affirmation spoken aloud has helped me tremendously, and now I am careful to not call myself those things. For example, if I make a mistake. Good, very good, very good.
That's smart.
Yeah, Patricia said, I always assumed that's how everyone spoke to and thought of themselves. Normalize the thinking. And that's the problem. Our parents are boomers, and so everything they said was negative. And because they had no skills, or I don't even know if therapy was invented back then, on a mass scale, right?
Right.
The boomers needed therapy, and we Gen Xers are the result of the boomer generation. And now we're trying to make the next generation emotionally healthier. and doing the best we can by, raising kids, being around nieces and nephews and family friends, and just trying to put out a positive vibe. you know Lily said, with narcissistic abusive family members, I have learned a method called gray rock. Yes, that is an excellent method. Once you learn not to react, they will leave you alone. And I will tell you, gray rocking works perfectly. And what that is, if for those of you who don't know, is if somebody is trying to, like, there's a person in my life, I occasionally am forced into a situation where I have to see them, and they always have something negative to say constantly. There's never a positive. It's always, you should, like the lady who told me I shouldn't be drinking Cokes and I would lose weight all day on Christmas. Like, that's what you want to hear. Merry Christmas. If you didn't drink that Coke, you'd lose some weight, all day long. So as an example, instead of responding in any negative way, just be calm, ignore it, or say, that's interesting, or thank you for the advice, but don't feed into the situation. Don't be like, F you, you stupid bee. Why are you telling me that? Blah, blah, blah. No, just, okay, thank you. It's interesting. Appreciate it. And just don't get drawn into it. That gray rocking is excellent. Rita said lots of negative. Abby said good morning. Donna said, we were not allowed to talk down to each other. Excellent. No spanking, very positive parents until they lost a daughter and sons. Oh, that changes families. Child loss changes and destroys families.
Well, and then also once you get out there in the world, once you leave your home and now you're out there in school with all these other kids that have been programmed the way they've been programmed, and then they start bullying you.
Right.
So, right? I mean, it's like, yes, it starts at the home and then it continues out there. And then the way society just is ongoing, it's like gets louder and louder and louder. And so it just shows up. It does start there. And it's, again, a process. It took you a process. I look at it even too, trying to think back and remember of, like, from, my sweet loving self of, like, when did that shift? When did that change? How did that happen? Right. And it was a slow progression. So it's going to be a slow progression in the other direction, yet it does show up if you consistently continue. I mean, it's a journey. It's not a destination. So right. It's like, being able to befriend. It's like befriending, right? The mean one, the bully. It's like you need to find a way to become friends with the bully that's in your head, not necessarily like, get it to shut up all the time. You just have to find a way to befriend it. And how can you do that? What would you want? What works for you? Like, that's when it's also like having to find the ways of figuring out what works for you. That's why, I might be saying certain things that you're like, oh no, for me, I'll just be like, shut the fuck up. And like, I'll shut up. Right. And it's like, see, that wouldn't work for me. That would like get me fired up. So it's like, that's the same thing within myself is what I realized, let alone somebody else. Like, me doing that to myself too will not work. So finding another way of whatever that process is. So maybe for you though, that does work, right? Where you're able, it's kind of like the same thing as people have said before, when you want to change yourself, you can put a rubber band around your hand and just smack your hand, just to bring you back into your body. Like, some people that really works, right? And so it's like, there's all different ways of what people can do to see what that is. But I think about bringing it back again to like the topic of what we're talking about is like bringing in the present moment. What is happening? Why is this coming up? What is going on? That's like, and then being able to understand if you have old stuff that's happening, you don't have time for it right now, right? You're like, I don't have time for this. Like, yeah, maybe that's why it's showing up. Being like, oh, how do I treat myself when I think I have no time, right? How do I, like, who knows what the process is supposed to be, because it's your process. Very individual.
Right.
Very individual.
And I want to say this even seeps into, social media. I can tell you that I have made videos about controversial subjects in the past that have gotten tens and hundreds of thousands of views. And when we make positive content, I'm lucky to get 100 views because the algorithm feeds on negativity. And I made a conscious decision last year. I'm not going to feed on negativity on my content just to get views. If I have 10 people watching, that's great. If I get 100 views, I appreciate it. That's 100 people that heard a positive message. It is frustrating because you think you're rowing up a fast moving river and you don't have the arm strength to get ahead of the waves, right? And so I will start, well, what can I do different? Well, what can I just want people to hear my message, and I start that whole thing, but it's like, there's nothing, we are beholden as content creators to the algorithm. And I'm grateful for everyone who likes, shares, comments, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Really, I only need 0 people to hear me, right? If the content's out there, it's going to come across somebody's page. The important thing is if one person hears us and we have this beautiful community of people who show up every week for our lives and always comment and like and share, and that just warms my heart. But it is a problem in my head. That's where the voice will creep in a lot. Because I want to do good things. And unless you have $1 million to spend on advertising, if I had $1 million, I wouldn't have to make so much content, right?
No, it is, and it makes it, and that's when you just get to witness yourself of like, where is this still showing up in my life, and how is it showing up, and what energy am I putting out there, and do I want to get on the bandwagon of like the negativity right. to get and so it's like there's all hence that like it's all part of the process, I think. So but negativity and hatred and all that stuff, it really goes a lot further. We know that. They make shows right. about it. It gets views. People right. really enjoy that misery and watching people struggle and suffer. And I think it's because maybe that's where they're at. Right. So it's about, in between when the shift is happening between moving from this side to this side, like it's a long process until the shift kind of happens. And I really believe that. And I talk about that when we're talking about the self-talk, like mine is shifted. So I'm not saying that I don't have negative self-talk anymore, and I don't have but it is not, it's outweighed. So like, it does not carry the weight any longer that it was the loudest voice. That's the best way to put it. It is no longer the loudest voice. And it's not because I told it to shut up. It's because I loved it through. And I would tell it to shut up at times, because then it's when it's going all the time, and it's like, there's no control for it, right? It's like, you're literally like just spinning. There's a difference between that and between like needing some love. And you're the only one that knows when there's the difference of like just spewing some stuff to get it out, or when you're just on an old cycle that you're really just looking for love. And how are you going to get that?
Exactly. We have to understand, and I will tell you, when I did shift, I made the conscious choice to shift from making negative content. And, my title's a little dramatic, but it's the only way.
It's the only way to get, that's the only reason why. Exactly.
It's the only way to get people to notice the content. And then you get in here and you're like, oh, this is a loving place that's safe for everyone. And happy Pride, by the way. I am an advocate for all things Pride, and everybody live your life. Consenting adults, I love you. Absolutely. Whatever your choices are, it's none of my business. I support and love you. Just want everybody to know that.
Yes.
And so when I chose to move from the negative content to the more positive content, which my content was mostly positive before that, but I did fall into that. Oh, if I go on these podcasts and I say these things and talk about the news, I'm going to get more views. And I did. And it worked like a charm. It worked like a charm, but it didn't sit well with me. It just didn't sit. I didn't feel I'm building a sustainable platform. And if, if it stays the way it is for a long time, that's okay. But I don't want to continue building on the negative and put more negative out there. We don't need more negative. We need more positive. And so, but it does affect the algorithm because
Yes.
most
Yeah,
people,
because then you're having to come up with this, you're coming to different titles, and like some of it also, like on certain days it seems better. Let me just go back over there because you're having a day, and like I mean, all of it. And it's not saying that, like, we everything is not love and light. Like there's balance between both. Like that. I mean, like negative and positive have to both be present. So it's learning how to just like be more consciously aware of it is really what it can be. And then seeing if you want to make a shift in some degree. But
right.
It's true. It is a shift from like moving from, I mean, come on, please. Like we've been journeying together for 40 years. Like we had plenty of decades when if you were talking anything positive, we were like, get out of here. You are not welcome. Like, so I mean, it's like, and that's what I'm saying. It's coming from a place of like, living the experience. Like, I mean, you and I would like line them up. Who could we rip apart, right? Because of the way that we were ripped apart. So then that's what we would do, is like sit around and like, thinking that we were better than other people per se, because, we were looking at it in a different perspective or what. It was really, we were hurt. We were hurt girls sitting together, right? Trying to find it, like that we're just like, and then figuring it out as you go. But I mean, the negative part of it, like it just is a part of it. It's really about, I mean, I think the first thing is awareness. Because think about it. Some people are like, oh, I wasn't even aware I talked to myself like that. Well, there you go. That's the first.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. There's a lot of comments I'm going to get to in a second, but I have people in my life who tell me they have a lot of negative self-talk and that they're the worst critics of themselves, and all of this negativity is constantly running in their head. And I thought, I don't have that. And I honestly believed that. And I'm like, I don't have that. I don't constantly berate myself. And then I started thinking about it, and then I'm like, there are a couple of things, not everything, but there are a couple of things that I am very hard on myself about in my mind that come up multiple times a day. And I was shocked to realize that. So we're like always learning. We may feel like, oh, we're this way. And then somebody says something and you're like, oh, I don't do that. And then you think about it, you're like, oh my God, I do that. I do that. I am really hard on myself about this and that and the other. So it's always about the journey. It's always about the journey. Vivian said we need to be grateful and proud of ourselves, to have the awareness to know not to repeat the cycle, even though our awareness also brought a lot of pain. Yes. Abby said, I let it run its course, acknowledge, cry it out, then get pissed off, turn on music and dance in defiance, and it turns to joy. Happy to say that it's less frequent now. I will say this about that is moving the energy out of your body.
And it's acknowledging the energy.
Yeah.
Like she's letting it, like she's acknowledging it, crying it out, then getting angry, then turning on music, then moving the body, then turning to joy. Like that is a beautiful example. Like Abby, like bravo, like that. Exactly. And not that anyone else isn't, but like that is the place to move into, of like, this is exactly an example of moving through and using that energy for yourself, and not just sitting there and cycling it around or beating yourself up for having these negative thoughts. Like she's doing something about it and acknowledging it at first, giving it a true place. Beautiful. That's exactly, I mean, that, yes. And that was like, that's like the end, like the other pieces of it when you're asking, what do you do? And I'm just sitting there being like, pay attention in here and seeing what's happened. Like that to me is like the first step. That right there. Can you put that up again though? Mm-hmm. This is exactly what I talk about when I'm talking, like because she's going through all of it, like being able to have everything. You're experiencing it all. You're acknowledging it all. You're giving it permission space. You're doing movement. Like that is like the prime example of one of the examples that I would use for someone when we get more in depth of a conversation of like, well, what do I do with this stuff? Right there. That's what you do with it.
And the best part of that is the last sentence. Happy to say that it's less frequent now, and that is why it's less frequent.
Yes, exactly. Exactamundo. Because she actually, when you give it the space to actually take up and actually be able to do it, then it gets like it's been taken care of. Like, okay, that's not as important anymore. Okay. But then it keeps knocking louder and louder and louder because you're like, nobody's answering the door. You're just treating it the same way that everyone else has been treated, when it's like they just want you to open the door, even if it's going to be nasty. It's just like, right? Like, it's just like, and it's you and you, but we do whatever we can to avoid ourselves because we don't want to deal with it. We don't have the time. We don't have the energy. We don't have the bandwidth, which they're all valid.
Yeah.
And it's just going to keep repeating. You'll know, like, you're just going to keep on doing it. So it's like, which is better?
Exactly. Donna said, yes, Aunt Jen, we were clueless dealing with bullies. We were not taught to fight back. Exactly. We weren't. Most of us, our parents were our biggest bullies.
Well, and then yeah. And well, yeah. And then you go out there and if you find bullies and then you become your biggest bully.
Right. Right. Exactly. Bazinski said consistency over time. Yes, I know about my, YouTube and social media. Yes, I've been very consistent for a long time.
No, she she's just letting it out.
Doesn't help the algorithm.
Just sharing where she at in the moment of what's happening.
Thank you. A girl who loves penguins. Yes, Mel Sandval said happy Pride, and thank you for always supporting everybody who's here. Thank you for supporting all of our social media and channels and everything. Vivian said, the people will hear your message when the time is right for them. They haven't realized staying in the negativity is their own choice. Well, and that's the whole conundrum in our world. Not everyone is meant to evolve.
No,
but as healers, I'm a medium. I read cards. I do spiritual guidance. Aunt Jen's a self-love expert, meditation expert. As healers, we want everybody to heal. And the biggest problem for us is not everybody wants to heal, but we want to bring everybody along, but not everybody is meant to in this lifetime.
No, they're not. And not everybody's meant to come over on, the not negative bitching train.
Right.
Like they're just not, like, at least not right now. So like having a different attitude of like, okay, how can I deal with this negativity with myself? Like it doesn't want to get caught up in the algorithm because it's not something that's being, to the audience is not even there. So the ones that do need to see it will see it. And like, there is all that, we can say all that, but that's it. Again, it just kind of misses out the middle part of just someone having some feelings.
Exactly.
Right? Of just being frustrated with the situation or, trying to get out there and like do positive, but that's not going anywhere. Right. And it's like, it's all a part of the journey, but it's really about the self-reflection and how can you get the self-reflection from yourself so that you can find out the growth. Right. Like the young lady said, like, she doesn't happen as often. Right. Like the voices start to change inside. That's how I know the difference. Like, it's like, you're the only one that really knows the difference. Other people can obviously say like, oh my gosh, you seemed it like, but in reality, is it really relevant? Like for me, it was like, that was as I started and became more healing. I started healing, like a very clear sentence or whatever phrase was in my head was like, I'm not, so many people brought me down. I'm not going to do the opposite. Meaning as I'm changing and growing and healing, I'm not going to allow the energy of like, oh my gosh, look at you, like to guide me and build me and drive me, just like the opposite of being bullied as bad as I was. And so it's like I lose perspective sometimes because I'm not paying attention. I'm paying attention to me and what's going on inside here and how I'm responding to myself, how I talk to myself, how I respond to myself. And that's what I compare myself to, not to you who I've been friends with for 40 years. Like I might do it every a second, and then I'm back on to being like, you're not her. So go back to you of like, and then it's like, oh girl, look where you've come, right? So it's like, it's easier to just stay in perspective of that. And so you want to always compare yourself to yourself. And that's how you can find the journey of healing that you're on. It's like how, even if it's only one, two, usually it's 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. That's just part of the process. Like, so it's just, line dancing is this and this and this and this. Well, that's part of the journey. If you want to know the healing journey process, that's actually the steps. 3 steps forward, 5 steps back, sit on the bench for about maybe 2 weeks or something, then get back up, maybe take a step forward and then sit back. That's how the dance goes, in case you wanted to know.
Right, exactly. And so thank you again, a girl who loves penguins, and she's for becoming a member. And she said, I need to remember to talk to myself like I talk to my kids. I made sure I never talk to my children in the negative. I am determined not to do what my parents did. And that brings us all the way back to the beginning of the talk, where we were talking about how we have to love the little us, be who we needed. And that's why you are so kind and wonderful with your children, because that's who you needed. And so you need to, yes, remember that. And speaking of love and inspiration, I have 3 different versions of the Sky Inspire book. The hard copy was just approved. They're all on Amazon. There's a digital copy on my website if you're into the digital copies. It is a picture book of all these beautiful scenes everywhere across the country. And it's a meditative and contemplative book. I lowered all the prices. Amazon, you get like pennies for this. So I lowered all the prices on Amazon. And the hard copy and the 6x9 are the highest quality images. So they're all linked below. If you can't find the one you want, let me know. But it's to inspire. This is Half Moon Bay in California, and it ends in Tampa Bay in Florida. And the meditation is you are worthy, you are loved, and you are right where you are meant to be. And so this is for contemplation and meditation. I'm also working on another book with more. I think I'm going to turn it into a 365 book, a daily book. So more on that later. But
I want to say one thing to a girl who loves penguins. I love this. I love that last comment. And I have to say, like, you're even closer because you get to listen to your voice as you speak to your children differently. So it'll be that much, that's more in your face of being like, wait, I don't talk to myself like that. So then being able to go back and reparent ourselves the way that we didn't get. And it's, again, not making people wrong. And but we get to a phase where it's like, okay, well, now you're still here. So now what happens? Okay, well, let me parent myself the way I never got it. The same thing is like trying to find a partner to be your life partner. And it's like, you want them to fix everything or be what everyone else wasn't. And it's like, I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe it works out for some people, but like, I wouldn't recommend it. It's like, you want to be your greatest love story yourself,
right?
And the other person come and meet you, and you might have intentions of that and then do well and then not, and like that's a part of it. But like, be able to do, be honest with yourself of what you're looking for in a relationship. Like, let's say you make a list of all the things that you're looking for in a partner, and the question I would ask you is, are you that for yourself?
Right.
And if the answer is no, then you're looking for someone else to do that for you.
Oh my God, 100%. Right? We've both done it.
Please, and it's all again, it's a process.
Again, that's another podcast. Yes, exactly. That's a great point. Mia Moore, hello, welcome in. Said, I don't think thinking negative sometimes is all your own fault. When you experience abuse and no trust in humans at a young age and still don't trust humans as an adult, as you experience the same. Listen, I couldn't agree. Yes, I am.
Fault. I'm sorry, I just had to say that too. There's no fault.
Right. Well, that's why it's in quotes. They put it in quotes. So let me tell you, as an abuse survivor myself, I trust no one. There's like I might trust somebody 99%, but there's a percent that I still hold back, right? I might trust somebody 1% and 99% don't trust them, right? So there's a range. And some people may think that's pessimistic, but the news over the last year and a half has been so horrific that now I'm even questioning my own reality. So I get it completely. Bazinski said, talk to yourself like you speak to your dog, right? Exactly. I like that. I like that a lot. It's if you're being nice to your dog. Some people aren't nice to their dogs. So, caveat to that. And Jen, this has been a wonderful conversation. I want to thank everybody who clicked like, who watched, who put a comment, and all of it, who shared. And Lily said she shares her stuff with her family. Thank you so much. Bazinski said, you're doing the Lord's work today, ladies. A wonderful message to wake up to on the West Coast. Mwah. Thank you so much. A girl who loves penguins said, it's also awesome to watch my children talk to my grandchildren because the negative talk is well on its way to be broken. I am experiencing the same exact thing with my grandchildren. And it is beautiful to see how I was raised, how then I did my best to make improvements to raise my kids, and now they are going even a step above. Aunt Jen, any final words of wisdom?
Find some compassion for yourself.
Very
That's
good.
what I would say. Like,
I agree.
there's a lot of, I just, wherever it came from, whether it's no one's, it's there. And it's just about trying to find some compassion, like trying to find some compassion for yourself, for where you're at. If no one else is going to have compassion for you, and starting with yourself, of like, having compassion of how you feel, even if it's not what you want it to look like.
Love it. Perfect. Everyone have compassion for yourself. We'll see you next week. Okay. Bye, everybody. Mwah.